Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today I'm going to be going over some really awesome information from Tommy Andreasen over on Twitter. He actually hosted a fan Q&A, which was really cool, where he would answer some questions that people would give him, and there were some really cool questions that were asked and some really great answers as well that were given. But I want to lay out some of the ground rules that Tommy gave ahead of this Q&A, and he basically said there would be no requests for spoilers or future stuff, and anything speculative he may answer, but the answer will not be considered canon. So I want to preface the video with that, just because the answer that was given here is not like a canon thing, anything that could happen in the future. It's just a mere comment that he's making, but I thought it would be cool to kind of go off of it and sort of have my own discussion about it, and if I think this could happen in a future Ninjago season. So the question that was asked, it was actually asked a couple of times, but I just chose one example, and it was that, is there any big change you would make to Ninjago if you had a second chance at making it, whether it be with a particular season or Ninjago as a whole? And the answer that Tommy gave for this was Evil Wu should have been a season. So that's really interesting to me. Of course, Evil Wu was a thing back in season 3, rebooted for a very short period of time. In Rebooted, I actually went back to the season, and I believe he appears in episode 3, 4, and 5, and then in episode 5 he's turned back to normal. I believe that's how it goes. Of course, he does get taken at the end of episode 1, but he doesn't really take on this new persona until that third episode. So it's definitely really interesting, because that is a very condensed time, and it makes sense, of course, because Rebooted was only a total of 8 episodes, which is a very short season, of course. So I can understand why they wouldn't be able to fit that in as well, because of course it isn't the main focus of the season. So it definitely makes sense why it was more of a small part of it, but still I think there definitely would be room to expand upon that. And that's mainly what I want to discuss here in this video, is kind of my ideas and concepts for how I would go about kind of integrating an Evil Wu into Ninjago. Of course, we've seen Wu be a bit stern with the ninja, and I don't really think he would ever fully turn evil or anything like of his own choice. Like, I think it would be something where he would have to be manipulated by someone or controlled by them, most likely controlled, because of course he is their master. I mean, he's not going to just turn on the ninja on a whim. It just wouldn't really make a lot of sense, but I think there could be something that could kind of influence him in a future season, and then they could end up having to go up against him. Now, of course, at this point in the series, we've gone over it a few times in the series that Wu is getting older, of course, older than he already was, of course, with, of course, the characters not really having a definite age, but of course, Wu is a bit older, so I'm not sure if really, of course, he can still really go up against the ninja. We saw in season 11 him going up against them and doing really, really well, so it definitely would still be something that could wind up happening, but I'm more so just saying that it would almost have to be something where he would be controlled by some force outside of his control, and I think that would be really interesting to kind of explore as well, even with some of the other ninjas as well. Maybe some sort of mind control that could go on with them. Of course, there were like the Serpentine tribe that could do that, of course, so I'm not sure if maybe they will want to introduce something like that in like another sort of group, a villainous group that will wind up doing that to manipulate either some of the ninja or Wu more specifically. So I'm not sure how they could exactly go about it. I don't know if it could ever really be a whole season thing. I don't know if that would really work at this point. I think maybe back then, maybe it could have possibly be or have been a story that they might have wind up exploring, but I think honestly how it was done in Rebooted was not necessarily that bad. I actually think it did fit all right within the actual season. Of course, you are dealing with a very short amount of episodes that you have to work this into, but I thought it was cool for what it was. It was interesting to see this, because it was kind of like a really interesting thing just to sort of see Wu fighting on the other side, but of course with also a completely different appearance, because of course he's taken over. He's more like technological looking. I don't know, it's like a sort of upgrade to Wu, I suppose, but it's definitely interesting, and I'm wondering if that could have any long-lasting ramifications for the team as well if something like that were to happen, or even just to Wu specifically as well. Of course, I'm sure he would feel guilt if something like that wound up happening, so that would be interesting for them to explore as well within the show, kind of just him dealing with that after the fact. But of course, that's jumping pretty far ahead if this were to ever even happen, which of course it may never happen. It's just something that Tommy, of course, would have wanted to do, but it might never end up happening. So I just thought it was kind of an interesting point here. Let me know what your thoughts are on a Wu evil season. Let me know what your thoughts were also on his portrayal as being evil in season Season 3. I'd like to hear your opinions on that down below. And if you did enjoy the video, it would be highly appreciated if you could leave a like. Also subscribe as well. If you would like to check out some of my other content, that would be highly appreciated. So thank you so much. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.